So I decided to start this project while I'm waiting to get a fitting for my next, not next, technically this would be last week's video, although that won't be up for probably 2 weeks from when I'm saying this. You know, timing. Anyway, so I decided to make a gunstock war club. I've made just the regular war club that you always see as kind of the ball at the end of the spike. And I've seen these around, usually kind of classified in the same category. So I decided to make one. I have this hickory board. It's a 1x6, I think. I don't know for certain. The measurement's gonna be slightly different because it's a piece of wood and they're always slightly smaller because, you know, they shrink. I don't know a ton about this weapon beyond it was used by Native Americans, from what I hear, kind of along the coastal regions. From what I was able to find, that it was based on the stocks of muskets that the settlers were using, because the settlers had one shot and then would basically just use their thing as an awkward club because, you know, what else are you going to do with it? It's basically a paperweight without a bullet in it. So supposedly they saw that was effective and started making their own based on the stocks of these muskets. I've read some things that there were claims that they were actually made of from actual muskets, but supposedly there's no evidence of that happening. I don't know. I'm not really a historian. I just make weapons. And, well, I make other things too. But anyway, that's not important. But for everything, depending on what it is, you know, they're still brutal weapons. So I decided I'm going to make my own. Again, hickory. Some of the best you can find for, well, pretty much any wood that you're going to hit something with. I mean, there's other ones like ash is pretty good. I think oak would probably work. I like hickory because it's dense, like really, really dense. And from what I found, you want to get, it's really hard to tell, you want the straightest wood grain you can. It's kind of curled over at the edge. And you kind of go to this other side here. It's a little bit. Where it's kind of straighter. That's kind of what you want for something like this. Oh, just kick something on the floor. So that way it's not going to split on you and has a little more even impact on it. But I'm going to draw out my design and then I'll cut it out with a jigsaw. I'm hoping it's going to be a simple build because I'm actually kind of behind on projects. Yeah, that's rough, so I'll probably just cut out more of a basic shape and then just kind of file it and sand it from there. Although while I was drawing this out, I thought it'd be interesting if you somehow made like a tactical version of it, like how like modern like AR-15 or, you know, MP5 style stuff, or maybe some sort of like sniper rifle and made one of these out of it. I wouldn't, because I think there'd be a lot of work for really no real reason, but that'd be an interesting build. So now that I have it all cut out, I need to refine the shape, cut out my handle a little more. I definitely need to add a little more meat to it, as I did. My drawing was a little narrow. When using the hit stuff, sometimes you don't want, something really paper thin. And this, of course, I'm gonna have it more of a lot smaller, so it's, smaller striking surface. Probably refine this, round this out a little more, and then of course I'm gonna narrow it up in places to where it's gonna get more of a taper on the other side, so it's not just a flat board, because that would be boring. Also, what I'm planning on doing is I want to forge a piece of steel to form along here and right here. Again, not historically accurate, but, or at least I don't think it's historically accurate. I know they were known for putting spikes or like small blades sometimes. So in theory that could work, and hey, if they were trading with settlers at the time, they could have actually had them. So who knows, but I'm kind of going at this with the angle of, if I were to be building one of these, how would I go about doing it? So, although historically they wouldn't have had those. Okay, now that I have my base shape cut out, I'm going to just take a Farrier's file, or Farrier's rasp technically, refine the shape a little bit. I decided this is going to be my handle. I'm going to have a kind of a two-handed piece, just because sometimes it's better to use two hands. And then basically what I'm going to do is just kind of refine the shape on that a little bit. I want the back here to have more of a sweeping edge, of course. I want this to have more of a point. Then once you get that done, I just have to go to the edge and thin up the edges a little bit, so that way it's not just the cut board. And yeah, let's go from there. Okay, so I ran into a problem while I was shaping this that a lot of people have complained about with this particular weapon. That's wood grain splits. So, yeah, that's a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish shaping this part here because I want this to be more of a point. And then I'm just going to take some wood glue and glue it back together, because that actually works pretty well. But, yeah, that doesn't work as well for hitting this end like I'd want it to. So what I think I'm gonna do is actually make it to where this is more my striking surface, and I don't know, maybe put a piece of metal over it or something. Yeah, it's just gonna have to be improvised a lot more than I want it to be, but sometimes that's the fun of this. Anyway, back to sanding, I guess. Okay, now the glue is dried and it's been sanded up. I was originally going to put metal on it, but now that I'm looking at it, I think that might either look silly for what I was planning, or would take way too long for what this is really going to end up being worth. I'm kind of behind on projects and have some big projects coming up, so trying to make smaller ones like this not take as long. I hope you all can forgive me. I'll have to find a way to forgive myself. I'm just kidding, it doesn't really bother me at all. Anyway, moving on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a torch and then burn it, give it a nice wood grain. Hickory looks really good burnt. Then once I get that done, give it a nice linseed oil seal, and then I can finish up the handle. Well, here goes nothing.